Right, as you will be aware, last week a report came out from police, commissioned by police, not the government, called Understanding Police Delivery. It was written by a bunch of, I'm going to call them pearl clutchers. One of its authors and the person currently in charge of this project, Understanding Police Delivery, is the inherently racist Kylie Quince, who works out of AUT and advocates the death of people who say things she disagrees with online. She adheres to some quite wacky cultural revolution kind of theories and believes New Zealand needs to be decolonised. But let's put that aside. The report suggests that there was structural racism and police bias in the New Zealand Police Force. It has been utterly rejected, those findings, by the Minister of Police. But what do police themselves think? Well, we asked them, and they told us we could talk to our next guest, Superintendent Scott Gemmell, who joins us on the phone now. Superintendent, welcome to the platform. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Now, just trying to establish what is your official relationship to this project, the Understanding Police Delivery Project?
Right. I am the chair of the operational advisory group to this piece of research. So I chair 30 staff from across the country, top of the country to the bottom of the South Island, all involved in those three focus areas.
What are the three focus areas?
The three focus areas were who we stop and speak with, how we engage with people. Yeah. Second one was use of force. And the third one was our charging decisions.
Okay.
So our staff, our advisory staff, are those that are involved directly in those three things.
Okay. And this piece of work was initiated by police themselves after some controversy over the illegal practice of photographing and keeping records of photographs of young Māori men, right?
There was a number of factors, actually. So this was at a time when Black Lives Matter, if you may recall that, had hit the world following the death of George Floyd, and there were protests around the globe. Mm-hmm. We were not immune to that either. We had thousands marching on Queen Street on a couple of occasions, and we had thousands down in Wellington also.
Which you dealt with, right? So why did Black Lives Matter have anything to do with it?
What it did was encourage police jurisdictions globally to look at areas of systemic bias. So
well, hang on. No. Why? A bunch of protesters protesting? So what?
This is not new though, Sean. So there's been...
We're not the United States, which is where the Black Lives Matter movement started. And by the way, it's been largely discredited as a bunch of grifters making money off it. But I'm just sorry. So I have a protest and I can get the police to launch a special inquiry into the thing I'm upset about?
Well, it wasn't just that thing.
What else was it?
But
what else was it?
Would we... Well, at the time, we also had the armed response teams.
Yes.
That caused a lot of consternation around community as well.
What? Why did they cause consternation?
Well, what we had then was police officers 24 hours in our streets and
that's what a good idea. That's a good way to stop crime, isn't it? Police officers on call 24 hours. Shocking.
No, well, armed in 24 hours. And that caused some issues for many of our community. What
issues for what parts of the community? Could you just give me some examples, please?
Okay. Many of our Māori community disliked it.
Can you name some of the Māori community who disliked? Why did they dislike it?
Well, it was a continuation, or it was a bad look for police to have fully armed police officers on patrol all the time, pulling over those three things that I'm just mentioning, pulling over people, and we have a different model where we can engage with people. If I was to pull you over and I was all dressed up in fully black gear or fully blue gear, it doesn't really matter. Armed, you wouldn't like that when I could.
No, where did that happen? Where was that happening?
Across Auckland.
Where?
We had armed response type. When? 2020.
Yeah, okay. And what were they responding to? Call-outs?
They're responding to all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So there was, well, we do have armed call-outs. We have knife call-outs. They were doing what I've just mentioned, pulling cars over as well, speaking to people. They were engaged in all of our police activity, but if there was an incident, they would be the first responders to that critical incident. So that was a good part. That's a good part to respond to critical incidents. What we don't need them doing is pulling cars over or engaging where we don't need. That level of force is not needed.
Okay, and how many times did they do that, and where did they do that?
Well, you're speaking with I was in the armed defender squad for many years. I was actually a commander of the...
Yeah, you're not answering my question, Superintendent.
So, that all took place in around Auckland under my command as well.
So you were just going out for normal traffic trots, sending out the guys with all the gears and all the ninjas?
When they were required for critical incidences, they did the critical incidences.
Yeah.
And they were really good at it. They're a good, well-trained group of people. What we had...
you had a few people running Black Lives Matter whinging. Now, the work that's gone on now, you've produced this report. Let's just move on to the report that says, of course, and gets massive coverage in the legacy media, bias and structural racism. The police minister says that's complete rubbish. Do you agree with him?
Where there's data, where there's evidence, I agree with him in the fact that we have a world-class police service. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think we're outstanding.
Is it structurally racist and biased?
We do have elements of systemic bias.
Where?
That's what the research says.
Well, no, that's what the research says, but there's what the experts say and there's the real world, Superintendent.
Yes.